My name is Debbie Jacobs, and tonight I wanted to do a video on healing from depression, anxiety, and bipolar to freedom and happiness. It's possible, it's an option for us all. And basically, I lived most of my adult life with depression, anxiety, and bipolar. I was in therapy, on medication, going to psychiatrists. I was hospitalized a couple of times. I went to different psychiatric programs. I did DBT and CBT and group therapy and, traditional therapy. And I really never got the support or direction that I needed. To be quite honest, I really didn't get much out of therapy at all. I anger, low self esteem, and unhealed pain. And I left over 10 years later with anger, low self esteem, and unhealed pain. And I didn't even get off my chest some things that off my chest, but I didn't because I had shame. So I definitely didn't find the healing that I needed because mental therapy doesn't focus on healing; it focuses on talking. And basically, I got to a point in my life where I was in a lot of therapy. I was going to a program 5 days a week, morning and afternoon, and I was seeing my psychiatrist. I was seeing a psychologist, and I still was in a lot of pain and wasn't getting the help that I needed. So I decided to go to to a hypnotist to help me with my negative thoughts and my subconscious mind. And I met this woman who, we spoke for about 45 minutes before the hypnosis. And, she made me feel like things were going to be okay, that I wasn't angry. I felt understood. I felt optimistic. And the hypnosis helped. So, I went back to her a couple of times, and every time I left, I just felt better. I felt more hopeful. I felt, less, not angry. I was in group therapy, like getting yelled at, for not, you know, for them not, not getting through to me, I was getting yelled at. And here I felt like, I felt like things would be okay. So I looked, I never looked back on therapy, and I just started working with this woman. I said, can you work with me? And she said, sure. She said, I'm a life coach. I didn't even know what a life coach was. But we started working together, and we started working on my healing. Healing is self improvement. Healing is learning new ways of being, learning new coping skills, learning how to handle situations differently, learning to believe in ourselves, building confidence, like all of this stuff. Uh, and she even said to me, she said, you're not bipolar. I know people that are bipolar, and you're not bipolar. And I said, wow, a seed of doubt was planted. And, I continued to work on myself. I worked on myself because I was in a lot of pain. I lost my father, my family imploded. I was in a date rape situation. I had friendships explode. I lost my job. It was a really difficult time. It was a really difficult time, and I was in a lot of pain. Pain from ineffective coping skills and negative thinking. We cannot have negative thoughts and ineffective coping skills when we're in times of crisis. They don't help, they make things worse, a lot worse. I actually just, started focusing on myself to get myself to a place because I wanted to accomplish happiness. I wanted to, experience love. I had trouble with relationships for almost 20 years. All of my relationships were failed. I really recognized that I needed to do something to make positive change in my life, or I could go to my grave not experiencing happiness and love, and having a quality of life, because growing up, my father gave us a great, great life. Really, he was very generous. He was very supportive. The sky was the limit for us, and we had a great life. His hurt became our hurt, me and my four siblings, but he did everything in his power to, you know, um, create happiness and love and support. The only thing that he didn't know to do was to heal his pain. And that's how his pain became our pain. And we ended up in pain, and I ended up with depression, anxiety, and bipolar. But my dad gave me such a great life. I said, you know what? I don't want this life. I want a great life too. And I sought out to create happiness and freedom for myself. Mental therapy wasn't effective for me, but healing was. And I spent 5 years and $300,000 on my healing, just, getting me to a point where I can have some happiness, where I can, not be reactionary, when I can be out of my pain. That's what healing is, getting out of your pain. And then it's awakening your beautiful, authentic self. Because depression, anxiety, and bipolar was my ego self, my hurt self, with negative thoughts and low self esteem, living in my pain. My healed self is positive thoughts and healthy self esteem, and new effective coping skills. You know, Anger, coping skill. Worry is not an effective coping skill. Fear, insecurity, doubt, not effective. They don't help us. What do we need them for? Why do I need to fill myself with doubt and then act insecure? That doesn't serve me. No. So the process of healing was not only letting go of my pain, because I had pain from my whole life. And let me tell you something. When I, got into healing, I left the mental illness world, mental therapy world, for the world of healing. And when I got to the healing world, it's like, to enter the healing world, you have to know forgiveness. Forgiveness is huge in healing. Forgiveness opens the door to healing and lets the anger out. Lets the hurt feelings out. And when we are able to forgive, we're able to let go and move forward. So I had, worked on forgiveness, and then, letting go of my pain, healing my wounded inner child. But then it's like, we have to undo the damage from pain that is created. We have negative thoughts and negative, ineffective coping skills from pain, from our hurt. The negativity in us comes from negativity in our childhood. And where does negativity come from in our childhood? It comes from punishment. It comes from put downs. It comes from invalidation. It comes from, being forced to go against our will. It comes from not maintaining boundaries. All of it has to be undone. Anger, fear, worry, insecurity, doubt, all of our negative behaviors. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of negative behaviors. There's a lot of negativity in our behaviors. All of it has to be healed and replaced with positive, effective behaviors. And just that, like, there's like a yes to a no, there's a positive for every negative. And when you start going through all of your behaviors and replacing the negative with the positive, that's the process of healing. And you go through all of your behaviors and say, oh, okay, is my anger causing a fight? I don't want to cause a fight. That's a negative outcome. I want to use, communication to resolve the problem and cause a positive outcome. So the idea is to get rid of the anger to replace with assertiveness or communication. If I'm using fear in a situation, fear creates a negative outcome. So I want to use courage in a in that situation, instead of being afraid of something, do my best to be courageous about it, and I create a positive outcome. And our coping skills and our thinking work together. So positive thoughts have positive effective coping skills, and negative thoughts have negative ineffective coping skills. And with the negative thinking, we create low self-esteem, and with the positive thinking, we create healthy self-esteem. And when you create healthy self-esteem, that's how you know you're healed. And that actually is the spiritual awakening, the awakening of our beautiful, authentic self, the self that we were meant to be. And when you accomplish that, you accomplish your freedom and happiness. Because let me tell you something, it takes mastery of the mind to accomplish positive thinking. Because you start with your thoughts all negative, and then by the time you go through all your thoughts, and you have to, it takes a lot of building the muscle of accomplishing control, taking control of your thoughts. That's mastery. And when you have mastery of your thoughts, you have mastery of yourself. You have mastery of your emotions. And that also is a process. When we take on our anger, we take on our fear, we take on our anxiety, we take on our insecurity, we take on our worry. It helps to accomplish mastery of our emotions. And now we replace with effective coping skills that don't really require mastery, because they're a controlled, responsive behavior, not an involuntary reactionary behavior. If I'm acting assertive, that's not out of control. If I'm acting courageous, that's not out of control. Fear is out of control. And basically, I believe that it's possible for us to accomplish freedom and happiness from mental illness, because if I did it, it can be done. And it takes, literally getting rid of negative thinking and the negative, ineffective coping skills, and replacing with positive, effective coping skills and positive thinking to accomplish healthy self-esteem. So it's an option for us all. We don't have to go to our graves in our mental illness, in our negative thinking, in darkness. We really can live in the light of positive thoughts and happiness and healthy self-esteem. So my name